Hey everyone, my name is Shreya. I'm a junior neuroscience major.
Hi, my name is Shruti. I am a sophomore molecular bio major.
Hi everyone, my name's Arunima. I'm a senior in computer science as well as a fast track in computer science student.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vidhi. I am also a senior in computer science and I'm also fast tracking just like Arunima. And our team is Get Them Greens, your personalized garden for good kid starter. So, about 2 weeks back, our team participated in the Hack UTD 7Cs hackathon, which was the seventh iteration of Hack UTD. And they had 341 hackers and 96 projects submitted total. Our team was able to win the eBay sponsored challenge for a visually appealing application that makes use of eBay API. And with that prize, we were able to each receive $200 of eBay credits. We also placed in the top five teams and were able to present in front of 200 to 300 people during the award ceremony at the hackathon. With that being said, I'll pass it on to Shreya to tell us about the inspiration behind this application.
Of course, so Get Them Greens was inspired by the recent Texas snowstorms. As you all know, the snowstorms left people without current, water, and food. Food banks were especially hit as they didn't have enough produce to meet the demands of communities, especially the people who were starving. Get Them Greens had a unique solution. We created a user friendly web based application where people can create their very own personalized community garden kit starter. We encourage people to grow produce that they're the most comfortable with and they're the most prepared to grow from the comfort of their own homes. Once they grow their produce, they can donate it to these local food banks to help the communities that have suffered from food shortages. I'll hand it over to Vidhi so she can talk more about our tech stack.
Thank you, Shreya. So as per the tech stack, we decided to use a Kaggle data set to get a list for the plants. We used Python for the backend and Streamlit for the front end. And finally, we also made use of the Google Maps API to generate a list of the closest food banks based on the user's zip code.
In terms of the Kaggle dataset, we used one which was taken from Gardenate, and we filtered it out so that we were able to easily query it for our user recommendations. We also added information about zone specificity, which we'll talk about in a bit, and we had a specific focus on whether or not these plants could be grown in adverse weather conditions, considering the purpose of our application. So here we can see we enter our zip code, and then based on your zip code, we're able to find out your location and then also what plant hardiness zone you live in. Plant hardiness zones are basically a measure of the soil quality, the temperature, level of precipitation in your area, and that'll determine the optimal plants to grow. And now Vidhi will talk more about the other queries which we ask to further filter our recommendations.
Yeah, so some of the other inputs we're getting from our user is the skill set they have within gardening, if they're a beginner or advanced, if the user would like for us to only show them freeze-resistant plants that they can grow in the cold weather, they can select this option. We're also asking the user if they would like to grow their plants indoors or outdoors, how much space they have available for gardening, as well as how many months they're willing to wait until harvest. With all this information, we're able to query our database and provide our user with a list of possible plants from where they can just select the list of plants they would like to grow in their backyard. With this option right here, we're also able to provide user with a list of the closest food banks based on their zip code. With that being said, I'll hand it off to Arunima to talk about some of our challenges and achievements.
Thank you, Vidhi. So, some of the challenges were also big learning points for the four of us. Initially, we planned to make this a React front-end application with a Flask backend, but soon realized that Streamlit IO was much better suited for our purposes, along with the Python backend. Secondly, we initially planned to not only use Google Maps API, but also the eBay SDK, but later, due to time constraints and other small factors, we were unable to integrate eBay SDK. However, that is part of our future plans moving forward with this application that Shruti will later detail on. And then third, we manually inputted a lot the USDA zones for each of our 89 plants, which in hindsight would have been much better had we automated the process, and as it would have been much quicker for us. Moving on to the accomplishments that we had. starting off with the adorable icons and the logo created by Shruti. Our first accomplishment is that we did create an extremely user-friendly web application with a very minimalistic UI. And what this does is it makes it an extremely easy experience for the user to learn and understand how to go through the application and pick the plants so that even if the users are not very tech savvy, they are able to still use this application. Secondly, for many of us, this was our first hackathon, as well as first time building a full stack web application. And so we learned a lot through this process, and we're very happy that we were able to create the product that we created. And then lastly, we also were able to engage in a lot of data collection and data cleaning, which was also hugely beneficial as a learning experience for us. Now, Shruti is going to talk about our future in for this application.
Thanks, Runma. So their first order of business would be to import the eBay APIs fully into the Streamlit.io for easier buying. We were able to get it to work in a Google Colab notebook where each plant which was recommended would have specific tags associated with it. So for example, if the user had selected that they were interested in purchasing Brussels sprouts or growing Brussels sprouts in their garden, we would use the eBay API to give them the best offer for Brussels sprout seeds. That they could immediately purchase. We would then also create calendars which would be used for planting schedules with specific recommendations for each zone that you live in, expanding to community shelters, and then recommending similar locations with the Google Maps API. And lastly, increasing scalability using cloud databases, since the current database that we're working off of is rather limited.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation today. I would be happy to answer any of y'all's questions.